But essentially, that's what showing up is. It's to offer yourself or extend yourself in ways that the people that you call yourself showing up for will be able to acknowledge that you are there for them. Hey y'all, it's Megan May and this is Transparency, where we keep it real about our growing pains and all the beautiful moving parts of life that may not be the most glamorous, but shape us into who we are today. So if you're ready for some introspection and evolution, go ahead and lock in by hitting the subscribe button. And if my message resonates with you, then go ahead and leave a comment and like, so I know we see each other. So today's episode is about how to still show up when you feel like life has let you down. And I feel like this ties into my last episode very well, because there was so much going on with my friends, or my family as I call them, when I was just not in the best space. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like literally gathering myself to go and celebrate certain things with them. And I'm just like, as I'm getting ready, I just have to listen to some good music and shake myself, take the longest showers. Like, it took me so much longer to prepare to leave my house when it was something that I knew, like, I didn't want to just be the Debbie Downer of the group, bringing down the vibes. Like, I really feel like when people just know that they can't shake certain feelings, just don't go. Just don't go. Because I'm one of those people where it's just like, it's not about you. And I wasn't going to be that person to make it about me. And I feel like there's times where we don't want it to be about us. And if we aren't able to mask how we're feeling or what we're going through very well, then it does become about us. And it's a shitty feeling, if I do say so myself. And I haven't had this experience in that period where I wasn't feeling my best, but I have had that experience in other instances of my life where I might have just been having a bad moment within my day or a bad day, and I get around people that, you know, I genuinely vibe with, and it's just like, your vibe is killing everything else. Your vibe is killing the vibe. Your vibe is killing the vibe. So we're gonna talk about how your vibe won't kill the vibe, period. So what is showing up? If you ask me, showing up is simply just showing that you love somebody through your actions. And it will look differently for every relationship that you have. But essentially, that's what showing up is. To offer yourself or extend yourself in ways that the people that you call yourself showing up for will be able to acknowledge that you are there for them. So to piggyback off my last episode about how sometimes we just aren't our best selves, and realistically, I think it's important to acknowledge that just because you aren't at your best, it doesn't mean that life is going to stop. Everyone else around you, even if they are feeling hurt by the fact that you are hurt, they cannot put their life on pause because you are not feeling your best. And that's important to acknowledge, because life just moves on, life goes on, and you have to know how to show up for those people without dampering their experience. So it's important to question. I think this calls for question of how is it that you can show up for others if you aren't your best self, and how in showing up for others are you not being a detriment to yourself. You know, they say you can't pour from an empty cup, and that is very valid. That is very valid. And so as I gave you the exercise last time in being a little bit more insightful about what it is that triggers you, what is it that haunts you, like those type of things, bringing those questions or the answers to those questions to the forefront here, you would have to really deeply examine what is it that you would be okay in attending if it's something that you need to attend. What is it, what kind of conversations would you be okay in engaging in if it's a conversation that you'll have to have. You have to ask yourself, what are your limits? what is it that you will be receptive to and accepting of in these moments where you are not your best self? Because realistically, if you cannot fully be present in those conversations or in those moments, you will have to remove yourself, because you will be shitting on someone else's parade or just dampening the mood, killing the vibe. And a lot of times people will give you the side eye. Like, I genuinely cannot recall a moment, and I know that when I started to feel better, or for some instances even immediately after the celebration, if you will, happened, I would ask my people, did I come off a certain type of way? Probably not the person who held the celebration or who held the gathering or whatever, but I would ask just to check in, like, did I come off any type of way, or was it evident that something was wrong with me? Because I want to be made consciously aware of these things, and it's important to be consciously aware of these things, because if you're not, then you're just you'll continue to do these behaviors, engage in these behaviors that will probably be detrimental to your relationships. Now, there are going to be times where the person or people around you, even if it isn't the person who is the host of the gathering or the reason for the season, if you will, will acknowledge the fact that you aren't yourself. And in times, if they know that something's been going on with you, then they'll probably completely disregard it and honestly just initiate some form of check-in with you upon the conclusion of whatever it is that you guys were engaging in. But there are times where people may not have been privy to your certain situation or circumstance, and they'll just know that something is wrong because you're probably just a completely different person, in this sense that you're not in the best state of mind, you're not fully present, whatever the case is. And they may come and initiate the conversation with you as well. Now, be very discerning and use your discernment and discretion in who you open up to in these moments, because it's not always the fact that they are just so genuinely concerned about, you know, what it is that's different about you. Why are you not engaging in the same ways or presenting yourself how you normally would present yourself? Sometimes it is just a let me go get this tea and carry this back on type of situation. But use your discretion, because sometimes, you know, even if it is somebody that you trust, that you probably didn't necessarily disclose what's going on with you too, they can still go back and tell people, and not because they want to gossip about you, but more so because they just pretty much want people to write that off. Like, this is not who she is, especially if it's involving people that's never been around you before, and you might not even care. Like, I promise you, it was so many things I didn't care about. And people were just, not people, specifically my mom and my sister, they'll be like, well, you should just be mindful. And I'm just like, I really don't care. When I was in that period, that dark period, because, I mean, why would I care? You feel me? Like, why would I care? But it's important to care to some degree. If you know that you can't shake certain feelings, if you know that going to something, engaging in something, having a certain conversation will be triggering to you, just don't go. Just don't go. Just don't have that conversation. If you want to tell them on the front end or the back end the reason why you wasn't able to be present in that moment, then cool. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess it would just depend on the relationship. But you just can't pour from an empty cup. So if you know that you can't put aside the things that you are dealing with or the things that you are feeling, just don't go. I promise you that's going to turn out so much better than you going and not even just dampening the mood or killing the vibe or allowing the attention to be drawn to you, but also, like, if it's something that you would be going to or a conversation that you would be having that would be triggering for you, you could potentially grow resentment towards the people involved, or just really sink deeper into that darker space, and it would just be doing more harm than good at that point. So save yourself, as they be saying in the movies. Like, save yourself for real, and don't involve yourself or don't include yourself in those things. You can definitely disclose to the people that are asking you to participate the reason why you can't, and you really don't have to go into detail. You could just say like, I'm not feeling my best. It's really as simple as that. As a former over explainer and a former people pleaser, I had to learn that oftentimes many things do not call for extensive explanations. You could just say, I can't attend. You could just say, I'll have to, you know, circle back and we can do our own thing at a later date. You can say whatever, but you don't have to really let people know all the intricacies of your situation, because it isn't even that they don't care, but a lot of times I feel like we dump things on people and they're not ready to be receptive of those things, and it kind of just puts us in a worse space because we start feeling like nobody cares, and that's really not true. But if your intention is to show up for somebody, then you should be able to show up wholeheartedly. And if you just really can't do that from a genuine space, then don't even attempt to, because it's not going to work out. It's going to cause more harm than good. So for the sake of your relationship, regardless of what kind of relationship it is, prioritize yourself. Always prioritize yourself and just do what it is that's necessary to get into that better space, and have clear communication about why it is that you couldn't be present or as attentive as they may have wanted you to be. It's really that simple. Now, in saying that you should just not include yourself and you should just void the invitations extended to you for whatever conversations or celebrations, link ups, whatever, I am not telling you to continue to just not involve yourself or allow yourself to enjoy everyone around you who are celebrating the new in their lives. Brief story time, actually. When I was going through depression, or when I was in the deeper parts of my depression, I should say, I had so many of my friends just having so many new eras in their life, whether it be they were becoming parents, whether it be they were starting their careers, having new relationships. It was just a lot of new happening. And aside from that, it was birthdays and stuff like that that we just routinely would link up and celebrate. And for me, I don't really feel like I have the fear of missing out when it comes to like larger things, but I'm such a sentimental person, so like I definitely know that it would eat me up inside if I wasn't able to show up for my friends in those instances of their lives. Like going out to celebrate the fact that you got a promotion, a new job, your birthday, having a baby, not going to a baby shower. Like these are things that I could not just not celebrate, regardless of what it was that I was going through. And I'm not saying that it's just oh so easy to incorporate yourself into these instances, but really, like, I think you should assess what it is that you would be missing if you were to say, oh no, I'm gonna just sit this one out on repeat. Because while missing out on like maybe one celebration or one conversation or one trip or whatever the case is, just missing out on one thing is one thing, but missing out on things routinely because you aren't in a good space, it's just, at what point do you question, what is it that I can do to get into a better space? How is it that I can show up and it be from a genuine space for my friends? Because if it's not the love that can carry you, then what exactly is it? And so these are the questions that I have today. I will be looking at my paper because I did not memorize them, but you can ask yourself, what is it that upsets you and why? And I start with this question because I want you to really know if what it is that is upsetting you can be put to the side, can be put on the back burner. Because I feel like whenever I don't feel my best and I push myself to do something that I know will be fun, which is being around my friends, my family, whoever, and engaging in whatever it is that we will be celebrating, or even if we're not celebrating. I keep using celebrating because I feel like celebrations are those things that happen every once in a while. they're not things that you would necessarily routinely be doing. So a promotion, that's not your last promotion, but who's to say when your next one is. Whereas just having a link up and saying like, oh, I'm not gonna link today, I don't feel great, is okay, because it's likely that you'll have another link soon, right? So that's why I'm using celebration. But honestly, questioning what it is that's upsetting for you in this moment and why is that thing upsetting can get you to lead in that light. Like, okay, if it's not anything that would be triggering in the link up, in the celebration, in the conversation, whatever, if it's not anything that will be upsetting to you, then why not go? Because the likelihood of you going and actually having a grand time is very high, actually. That's when you know that you're putting yourself in an environment that is very nurturing and fun. Because though you might not be feeling your best, exiting your four walls and involving yourself in something that's outside of your now new norm, it just kind of shakes away some of that feeling of despair. It makes you feel like, oh, there's so much life out here, and what am I doing sitting in my room crying and rotting away in my bed when I could be out here living my life? Like, it's so fun out here. And it helps you to like broaden your horizon and not be in that one spot of thinking like, I just feel so sorry for myself, you know? And not to say that in a mocking tone, because I realized as I was saying it, that's how it came off. But yeah, like, don't feel sorry for yourself and allow you feeling sorry for yourself to allow life to pass you by. It might not be directly your life, but the experiences that we have in life is what make life so fun. So if you're sitting things out because you just don't feel that great, but you're also not really trying to get to the bottom of what's so upsetting to you and why is that so upsetting to you, then so much life will pass you by and you'll end up living with regrets of, wow, I could have been there for my friend X amount of years ago, or for this moment, and I wasn't there. And so now I don't even know like the excitement that they were feeling. And when you get into that better space, because you will, like I said, you will, it's kind of like a slap in the face, but by yourself, a slap from yourself to yourself. Because it's like, dang, I really allowed, I don't know, for me, I'm just speaking from being now in a better space. It's just like, looking back, I can't imagine sitting out on baby showers, birthdays, just going out to have like a good old evening, have fun on a weekend. I can't imagine sitting out some of those experiences and just now being like, I wonder what that was like, or seeing my friends post about it and being like, damn, I wish I was there. Like, I don't think I set out on anything, to be honest. I don't think I set out on anything. Even the things that I did think would trigger me, I will say, you have to be very careful. If you do recognize that showing up will cause you to feel, I guess, triggered, for lack of better words, then you have to be very careful about how you proceed. I think it's important to tell yourself certain affirmations, I guess, before heading into that lines then. Because you just don't want to get there and again dampen the mood. Like, you don't want it to dampen the mood, but also you don't want to get back into this space when you are back alone and secluded of just tearing yourself apart. And again, it would just all be dwelling from your past, and it's important to let go of your past, like I said in the last episode. But I know it's easier said than done, so yeah, you just have to do the work. It's not much more to it, guys. It's just, you just have to do the work. How bad do you want to get out of that space? How much do you want to actually genuinely enjoy these moments with the people that you love? Ask yourself these questions. And my next question was, is there anything that's within your control to change the troubling circumstance? I know it sucks that we can't control every moving part of our lives, but life is not happening to us, like I said in the last episode. And so if there's anything that you control that, and understand that in you controlling that, you are pouring into your own cup, and you are able to show up as a better version of yourself. And in showing up for those that you love, it will be reflected that you are caring for yourself in the ways that you are now caring for those that you love, in the ways that you are now showing up for those that you love, by taking control of the controllable. You can't control everything. Don't even try. And if things seems like they're just too far out of reach for you in terms of what you can do to better the circumstance, then don't put that burden on yourself. But there are things that you can control, and one of those things are your mood, your mindset, your attitude. And writing for me is what helps me to release and to help me to identify those things that may be burdening me down mentally and emotionally a little bit. But it could be anything for you. It could be painting. It could literally just be going outside to get some fresh air. It could be screaming into a pillow. It doesn't really matter what it is. But I think the importance of the whole message of today's video is to understand that you can't show up for people, anybody, without first showing up for yourself. So I hope my title that I put in the beginning of this video wasn't misleading with the information that I'm delivering. But you really just have to acknowledge that, okay, I want to move on with life. And in order for me to move on with life, I have to tackle those things that's been holding me back. So how do I tackle those things? What can I control? What is it that's upsetting to me? What is it that's haunting me? What is it that is crippling me? And start really like attacking those things one by one, day by day. Again, I have to continuously give this disclaimer because I just thought that, I swear, like, the whole time I was just thinking like, oh, this was gonna be so easy. I just knew I was gonna bounce back, because I mean, I was doing pretty well. Like, I feel like I was disguising my mental state very well, and it just got to a point where I just couldn't disguise it anymore. I think it was like a change in environment, and then also like not being in that routine of getting up and going to class and seeing my friends and my peers and whatever. For me, everything changed at once, and so it was just so hard to pretend. And you shouldn't pretend, because things are always going to bring out those feelings, so you should just tackle them. Don't even pretend like you're okay. Yes, things will get better, and they say like, what is it? Fake it till you make it. There we go. I don't know why that really just took me for a loop, baby, but fake it till you make it. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work, because it's always gonna be something that brings those feelings up. So if you really want to show up for your people, and you really want to be like that best version, or the person that they know you to be, have the energy that they know you to have, you really have to do the work. So ask yourself as well, are you mentally working or actively working to be in a better mental or emotional state? Or are you dwelling on the past, waiting for closure, fostering regret, because you just feel like somebody or something or God has robbed you of whatever said opportunity or whatever said life that you thought you would be living? Ask yourself these questions and really be honest with yourself. All of the questions that I asked you guys, or that I posed to you guys to ask yourselves, you have to be completely honest. This is not anything that I'm asking you to drop in the comments. This is not anything that I'm asking you to reveal to anybody. These questions are for you. So if you want to lock them up and throw them in a box and burn them afterwards, it doesn't really matter. Just really make sure that you have this release and be honest with yourself. So what is showing up? If you ask me, showing up is simply just showing that you love somebody through your actions. And it will look differently for every relationship that you have, but essentially that's what showing up is. It's to offer yourself or extend yourself in ways that the people that you call yourself showing up for will be able to acknowledge that you are there for them. So as I previously mentioned, there are going to be instances where you feel confident and comfortable confiding to whatever person is orchestrating the link up or the celebration, whoever the host is, you feel comfortable talking to them and telling them like what is bothering you and why you aren't showing up as yourself. And I need you to be very careful in your timing in doing so. For me, it wasn't really that hard to be authentic and open with those people because I feel like we was having check-ins throughout the course of just, whatever timeline. And they were already aware of what was going on. Me showing up, I guess, was just enough of an extension to show that I was fine. And for you, it just might not be that same case. So if you do choose to disclose to the people that are hosting these events and having the initiators of the conversations come to you and ask you these questions, I mean, if they come to you and ask you, then cool. But if you are the one that's going to pose, or not pose the question, but if you are the one that's going to initiate the conversation, then I need you to be very careful in the timing of it all, because some people just won't receive it well. Even if you are telling them like you aren't the best and like you don't mean to be whatever type of bad vibe or buzzkill that you're being, they just won't receive it well because they'll just feel like you're dimming their light or taking the attention off of them. And honestly, they have every right to feel that way, because if it is especially something that's momentous, I'm trying to use all these vocabulary words, child, and they are really fighting me tooth and nail. But if it is something that's momentous that they're celebrating, or something big that they're celebrating, then they hold the right to feel like you are taking the attention away from them, because maybe that's just something that they're not trying to deal with right now. And don't feel any type of way. Don't take it any kind of way like, oh, they don't care about you, they don't love you, they don't. It's not even that. But like sometimes I think we've all experienced something, no matter how grand or how little it may seem to everyone else. We've experienced something that we were just genuinely excited about, or maybe something that was completely stressful for us, and we're finally at the end of that journey, and we're just ready to flip that page and celebrate all that we've endured or all that's to come. And we just don't want to hear that. We just don't want to deal with that, because after you tell them, it's just like, okay, now what exactly do you expect them to do with this information? So just be very careful. I'm not saying that you can't tell them. I'm not trying to deter you from doing that at all, but at least give it some time. If you're going to do it afterwards, give it some time. If it's like when they extend the invitation to you, then you can allude to what's going on, but you don't have to be very detailed. Again, use your discretion. But yeah, I wanted to say that because sometimes we just don't really take into consideration how our behavior or what we say or do impacts those around us. And in those moments, I could see why that would cause a little bit of friction or distance, because it's just like, what exactly do you want me to do? I mean, they can offer themselves and extend themselves in ways that would be helpful. But if it's something that they're already doing that's about them, then imagine, like when you're planning a birthday party or planning a trip or just doing anything that's really like extensive that involves a lot of other people, it's really not much time that you have for anything outside of that. Like you're just so consumed in making sure that goes to plan and that's so perfect, that it's really not much room that you have for anything else. And so that would be that something else that they just probably wouldn't have time to cater to at that moment. But it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. So if you are going to show up, just don't make it about you. It's not about you. Just take it easy. Not take it easy like just shut up and sit in the corner, but just use your discretion. So that's all that I have for you guys today. To recap, I just wanted to say that the message of the video was, don't rob yourself. Don't rob yourself, and don't rob those that you love of the joy that accompanies life-changing moments. Always just find the beauty and allow that beauty to remind you of what's to come. Not what you lost, not what you lack, but what you have to look forward to. And approach everything with love. If you allow love to lead you, then you more than likely won't want to sit out on these moments with those that you love, because you understand that you just want to be a part of that moment with them, and you understand that that moment won't necessarily return. It will probably happen again in a similar setting or situation, but realistically that moment is a one-in-a-lifetime moment, and you just don't really necessarily want to miss out because of you sitting and feeling sorry for yourself. So allow the love that you have for others to lead you and prompt you to really tackle those things that you're battling with immediately, as soon as they happen. And I do understand that healing isn't something that's linear. It's something that takes time. And so there are days where you might feel fine and might be able to show up genuinely and authentically, but there might be days where showing up really feels like a task. Use your discretion, guys. I've given you things that you can do to help aid yourself before exiting your four walls and enjoying or meeting with those people to enjoy whatever it is that they've invited you to. But I would say, if you was asking me what should you do, I would say just go ahead and enjoy what it is that you've been called to enjoy, because if they didn't want you there, they wouldn't invite you, and if you weren't meant to be there, they wouldn't invite you. So yes, take that with you, and I will see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed. I wish you the best, and I'm sending you off with love. Toodles.